everyone, I'm Lynn, and today we're going to talk about the ACE2 receptors. And what does that exactly mean? What is this attack on these receptors? So, I'm going to get to the question here. It says, I saw where they have found a connection between the beer bug and the ACE2 receptors. Interesting, right? Apparently, the more receptors a person has, the greater the chance of contracting and having a difficult time with this bug. What are your thoughts on this connection? And on my blog itself, I have several links to articles that go into more detail about what are these receptors, what do they do, and actually a little bit of talk about what this discovery is that they've made. And real quick, just so you know what the definition of an ACE2 receptor is, in case you don't know and don't have a chance to look it up before listening to this, ACE2 is a protein on the surface of many cell types. It's an enzyme that generates small proteins by cutting up larger proteins on the cell. That then goes on to regulate functions within the cell. Using a spike-like protein on its surface, the beer bug binds to these ACE2 like a key being inserted into a lock prior to entry and infection of cells. Hence, the ACE2 acts as a cellular doorway, a receptor for the thing that causes the beer bug. So, real quick, before I get to my answer, please go in and hit the like button. It really helps me out, and I am trying hard to get our community to grow here. So if you could just please hit that like, and don't forget to subscribe and share. It helps me out a lot. Okay, without further ado, what do I get on this and what is really going on? And when I focused on this question itself, I recall a previous reading where I understood that the intention of this illness was to thin out the population and target certain groups. This illness causes and uses the ACE2 receptors to attach and attack the cells, as was described in the question. This causes harm to the body because of its large amount of receptors that are impacted all at once. It makes it difficult to recover because the immune system is basically bombarded by all of this happening. It's not just one cell being attacked. You have a multitude of this going on in various parts of the body. As I take a broader look at this, I see that that is why most, but not all, people with certain medical issues or habits like smoking, for example, are impacted more. The elderly most generally have more ACE2 receptors than younger people. These are also the people that Bill G, and we know who he is, would like to see go, as they are usually the ones using more medical care. And think about it, the elderly, they're retired. They're getting Medicare and Medicaid. They're not putting back into the system. So the more unhealthier you are in terms of health, whether you're diabetic, maybe you are a little overweight, maybe you're a lot overweight, maybe you have habits like smoking, or you drink a lot, or whatever it may be, people within that, I guess, very broad category typically have more ACE2 receptors. What is this attacking? The ACE2 receptors. So let's think about who they're trying to really focus on here and eliminate. Then something strange happened. I watched myself mentally step backward and look at this question, and it even expanded on my thinking on it even more. Not only are there certain categories of people they're targeting, such as the elderly or ones that have morbidity factors tied to them, there's certain pockets of the world that they would like to thin. This isn't just a get rid of the elderly type of manufactured illness. There's certain areas of the world being targeted too. So it's not just certain people, it is actually certain areas of the world. So then what I did in my mind, a thought thing came through to me, and I was guided to look up a chart as to what nationalities have the highest amount of ACE2 receptors. And I'll be honest, this was very random to me because almost never, I never say never, but almost never do I want to interrupt a thought, a flow, what I have going on, to look up anything. But something compelled me, and there it was like, you need to look at this, you need to look at this information. And I included one thing I found within this post and videos that I'm sharing that you might also find very interesting. So have a look at it. I then heard the phrase, note the top of the list and then think about where this thing originated. So what do? You go to the top of the list, and who's on there? Japan, China, and so forth. So what area of the world did it start, and who's on the top of this list. In my earlier readings regarding this bug, I saw that China was being punished or being put on notice by the powers that were, so it resonated that it started in that area where people had an average of higher to ACE2 receptors, and this thing would have a huge impact and start this spread of fear. So you're putting an area on notice and you're highly impacting them, and from that point forward, you were able to propagate a whole lot of fear. Everything just started to make sense as to how this started, where it started, all of that. I then heard the reason that they're encouraging manufactured and processed, food and corn syrup in food and all this kind of stuff is it not only creates disease because, big pharma wins with that, it increases the morbidity, which also increases the ACE2 receptors in the body. So win-win-win. You got all these people making money, then you're making people sick, so then you get to make even more money. Toxins in the water and the air also assist in this, so watch for the number of various U.S. citizen categories and races to rise on this list as time goes by. So when you look at a lot of the U.S. areas, it's about 50 to 60% on the ACE receptors, when you're looking at everything. But I see that also increasing, and it's because they're shifting our food and what they're doing to us. They're making us more vulnerable, which when you're in less grade of health, you produce more ACE receptors. So watch for that in the future. I get that watching this ACE2 discovery is a key in proving what they are doing and who is being genocided. And I did say that, and I stand by that word. This receptor is also being a big player in the beer bug shot and how and why it overloads the body, creating overactive immune response, because it is also attaching and going after those receptors as well. Watch overall for just developments on this. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to the terminology, and when you hear this terminology, and I will leave you with that. I know that's kind of a lot of information for now, but I will go ahead and stop. But I would be really curious your thoughts. What have you come across? Or if you have any information you'd like to share, please leave a comment below. Again, like my stuff, share my work. It helps me out so much. I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thank you. Bye.